Hello everyone, this is Derek Smith from MasterfulPersuasion.com. Today I want to talk about the ultimate guide to improving your persuasion techniques. So when we look at the power of persuasion, we know that it can open doors for us and make the path to success much smoother for us as well. So after looking at this video today, you're going to have an array of persuasive techniques at your disposal that you can use. The most persuasive techniques that I've run across have their roots in what's called NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming. These persuasion techniques are based on empathy. In order to persuade someone, you have to understand that person first. So let's look at empathy-based persuasive techniques. The first and most important thing you must understand about the person you are trying to influence is what their mind best responds to. Is it feel, visual? Is it auditory stimulation? Knowing this is going to allow you to be more persuasive by plugging into and feeding this specific desire. Women usually respond best to feelings, but not always. Okay? Men often respond well to visuals, and some people are affected by audio. To learn which is the best stimulations to focus your persuasion, look at how they talk. Do they say, "I see," or "I hear what you're saying," or "I feel that," whatever it may be? These are obvious examples, of course, of what you might hear. But the correct answer could be more subtle and perhaps a mixture of two types of stimulation, so you have to listen very closely. Adjust your persuasion techniques based on the kind of mind you are dealing with. For example, when persuading someone who is field-oriented, focus on how they would feel if they do what you are trying to convince them to do. Don't try to tell them what it would be like. You have to make them actually feel it, okay? The more you are aware of the person you're dealing with, the more effectively you'll be able to focus your persuasive techniques. First technique I want to talk about is mirror-based persuasive techniques. First, I want to talk about mirror-based persuasive techniques. Matching your body language and even your pose or your position is a subtle but surprisingly powerful persuasive techniques. You need to be subtle, and it may feel awkward at first, but with some practice, you're going to be able to see how effective this technique known as mirroring can be at developing a rapport with a person that you're trying to persuade and then easing persuasion for you, as well as focusing the content of your persuasion in a way that interacts well with their specific personality type. You can also adjust your language and the way you speak to put yourself on their level. People respond better to persuasive techniques that are in their own language. Pick up on specific words that they use and use those words back on them, especially adjectives that they might be using. Pay attention to their speed, the pitch and volume of their voice, and respond as similarly as possible as you can to them. Now, other persuasive techniques. There are many other persuasive techniques that you can work on and that you can build up for your persuasion, your repertoire. I recommend that you master the empathy/mirror persuasive techniques, most importantly, as these are the most effective that we found. However, the following techniques that I'm about to give you can be valuable additions to your persuasion armory as well. The first one is persuasive words. Now, there are many subconscious persuasive words that a person can use, and often these would be a call to action. For example, do that, be this, those type of things. So positive words and adjectives such as definitely and most and effective are very persuasive all on their own. We talk about hypnotic writing and hypnotic words. This is what it's all about, using these type of things. Use now words such as today. I need you to buy today. I need you to act today, or at the moment. You use these often to subliminally suggest urgency. Another one is rhetorical questions. Now, getting the person to think for themselves is highly motivating and can therefore be extremely persuasive for you. Ask questions that engage them, and they automatically become more receptive to what it is you're trying to convince them of. Now, this will also help you learn more about that person. Often, this will even convince them that they are making the decision when, in fact, you have simply steered them to the decision you want them to make. Another important concept or factor is eye contact. It's highly important to develop a good rapport with the person you are trying to persuade. So without eye contact, looking right at them, this is virtually impossible. So with consistent and non-threatening eye contact, you can develop trust with that person. And if you add a genuine smile and persuasion, your persuasion technique is going to be even much easier when you smile when you're talking to that person. Be persuasive by connecting emotionally and not rationally. So anyone in politics, and this is a big political time we're in right now, but anyone in politics would tell you people simply don't respond rationally. They respond based on emotions. So to persuade someone, you must connect with them emotionally as well. Aristotle identified the three basic elements of every persuasive argument. One is ethos. That's the credibility, the knowledge, the expertise, the stature, and the authority of the person trying to persuade. The second one is logos. That's the appeal of logic. I teach a critical thinking course, and we talk about logic there. So the appeal of logic, reason, cognitive thinking, data, and facts. The last one is pathos. The appeal to the emotions, the non-cognitive, non-thinking motivations that affect decisions and actions. Now, all layers are, of course, important. You need to have ethos, logos, and pathos in your communication. But it is perhaps the emotional layer that holds the most power for persuasion, for what we're trying to do. We are emotional beings and are much more likely to be persuaded by the promise of feeling good than the promise of something being correct. Are persuasion techniques moral? I always talk about that they can be good or bad. You know, it's not good or bad, but they can be used for good or bad. So, of course, you may be thinking that using persuasion techniques is immoral or underhanded in some cases. And indeed, you may find yourself with the dilemma of whether to use them on someone you love. It is really up to you how you feel about using persuasive techniques. But remember the following. People should be aware of the techniques and know when others are trying to manipulate them. Are they using the techniques against us, like when you're buying a car or a television, or somebody's trying to sell you life insurance, or even better yet, when you go on those trips and they try to sell you those timeshares? Are they using the techniques that I'm teaching you against you? Now you can recognize those. So if you successfully persuade someone, you have simply outcompeted that person. Okay? Persuasion is always optional. Yet after much practice, you may find that these persuasive techniques simply embed into the nature of your being. Would you feel guilty for using any of the other aspects of your personality, such as speaking confidently, studying up on your topic? Would you feel bad about those? Then you shouldn't feel bad about using your persuasion techniques either. Much of the time, you'll be trying to do what is best for that person anyway. Remember, I advocate for win-win situations. Now, the purpose of connecting with someone emotionally is to learn what they want. When you know this, you are only persuading them to do something that they really want to do anyway. You just have to help them along. People want to be helped along with that. So by its definition, persuasion is not manipulation. It's just bringing your point across. Think about it. You could just have a car store and people walk in and walk around and they choose the car they want eventually. Your job as a salesperson though, is to get them to that process quicker and help them with that thought process. Now, people should be aware enough to make their own decisions. But ideally, you should be confident that you can use these persuasive techniques, and I'm teaching you in this and other videos, to do what is right for all that's concerned. So thank you very much. This is Derek Smith from MasterfulPersuasion.com, and I hope to see you on another one of my videos coming up soon. Talk to you soon.